Hi class. Before we get started on our lecture today, I'd like to ask you a question. How many of you have cell phones which are made in Canada? No? None of you? No? That's right. We are a consumer of electronic goods from other countries that perhaps have the technology or can manufacture them cheaper than us. And we do that through trade agreements. My name is Kevin Beflanzoff, and I'm here to talk about various trade agreements and how we can benefit as a country and as our companies can benefit as well. Objectives of today's lecture is we're going to gain an understanding of trade agreements. We're going to watch a video of a particular trade agreement between Canada and Europe. And we're also going to reflect on these benefits of these trade agreements. And lastly, understand what opportunities we have in our companies to take advantage of these trade agreements. Okay, to begin, what are trade agreements? I'd like to ask the class. Titus, in your mind, what are trade agreements?
Agreements between, I guess, two countries to exchange goods or services.
Okay, excellent. Between two countries. Goods and services. Richard.
They are to protect the country's interests to ensure fair trade.
Exactly. Good point. Fair trade. Excellent. So we'll talk about these things. Firstly, trade agreements eliminate or reduce tariff on goods so we can get goods from other countries at a reasonable cost. As well, it increases opportunities of economic growth for Canada as well as our individual companies. As Richard mentioned, it offers an avenue for fairness between two countries when they trade. Fairness, openness, and non-discriminatory. As well, as Titus mentioned, they can be between two countries, but also between provinces as well. So we're going to start with activity number 1. So we're going to be watching a video on the CETA trade agreement between Canada and the European Union. And you have questions in front of you. If you can answer these questions as you're watching the video, and then after the video, we'll just go over some of your thoughts.
It is the most modern and advanced trade agreement ever made, actually, and it opens up fantastic possibilities for entrepreneurs and companies and consumers in Europe, but also in Canada, and it strengthens, of course, the very tight friendship and alliance we have with our Canadian friends.
Canada is the 12th trading partner. It's about 60 billion a year of trading goods, about a bit less than 30 billion of trade and services. It's a huge investment in Europe. There's more than 120 billion of Canadian euros of Canadian investment in Europe.
Nous sommes présents depuis une quinzaine d'années au Canada maintenant, ce qui représente environ 10% de notre chiffre d'affaires, avec environ 150 000 bouteilles à l'année. L'accord signé et négocié entre l'Union européenne et le Canada peut nous permettre d'améliorer nos échanges avec le Canada dans le sens où on pourrait avoir plus de compétitivité. On est aussi beaucoup plus présent sur le marché canadien, donc on a une visibilité plus importante, on devient attractif pour le tourisme aussi, donc plus de personnes qui viennent sur Sancerre, on accueille énormément de clients canadiens qui aiment nos vins, donc tout ça reste très positif et très intéressant en termes d'échanges également humains avec le Canada.
Dredging equipment is excluded from the Coastal Trade Act by CETA, so that will help us to use our foreign equipment in Canada.
It's not our intention to take over the market of the local contractors, but it's our intention to join forces with them and to work together to bigger projects which were not feasible before.
Canada is a big country. Quantities to Canada are more and more important. Canadians are very fond of Italian PDO cheeses in general, Grana Padano and Parmigiano Reggiano in particular. I expect advantages from CETA agreement. We expect benefit will to impact positively on turnover, new jobs, and positive spillover on the communities where we are operating.
We have around 1,200 employees worldwide. Out of them, 1,000 are in Europe, around 700 are here in Germany. In Canada, the electrical approvals are different to the EU. This is for us a kind of a challenge since we have to adapt our products for the Canadian need. And this is increasing our prices, which makes us difficult to be competitive compared to local manufacturers. We believe that due to the CETA agreement, we can improve our situation. That means that we can increase our market share in Canada.
The Canadians have very similar view to the ones we have about not only the value of free trade and the free economy, but also how you should regulate that economy and how you should make sure that free trade does not damage public policy interests.
It simplifies access to the Canadian markets. We have access to their public procurement on all levels, and they're actually planning for a lot of investment in public procurement where we could bid. And it also makes it easier for our service companies to have access to the market, and for the staff who work in the service companies to temporarily come and provide that service. And it also includes a very ambitious chapter on sustainable development, where we commit to together work on issues such as good environment, labour standards, etc.
What a great video. So, what a great video. So let's go over the questions. Titus, who benefits from the CETA trade agreement?
European Union and Canada.
Excellent, yes, both countries benefit from the trade agreement. Richard, how many individual trading partners are noted in the video?
12 trading partners.
Yeah, 12. Even though it's the European Union, there's multiple countries that are involved. Titus, can you name 2 European Union industries that is depicted in the video?
Industries, the cheese from Italy,
Cheese.
and then dredging technology from Belgium.
Excellent, yes, those, and also the wineries were mentioned, various technology companies. Excellent. And Richard, is sustainability hampered in any way with this agreement?
No, I think sustainability can be protected within the agreement.
Yeah, exactly. So not only does the agreement talk about commerce, but it also talks about standards, sustainability being one of them. Excellent. So we're going to go on to exercise or activity number 2. It's going to be a think, pair, and share exercise. Based on what you've seen in the video and what we have on the whiteboard, think in pairs, what are some of the opportunities as an importer and an exporter of goods and services? So I'm going to give you a few minutes and then we're going to discuss your feedback.
Access to markets and growing local economy. I think also access to markets, growing a local economy, maybe new business partner, maybe new business partner.
Just like sustainability initiatives.
Okay, great, super. So you had a chance to talk amongst yourselves and review the opportunities. So I'd like to hear from your group, Titus and Richard. Can you please present some of your findings?
So number one, access to markets,
Okay.
growth of the local economy,
Okay.
and then new business partners.
Oh, great, super, yeah. Those are very good points and very good opportunities that you can come up with while watching the video. Very good, excellent. So we're going to wrap up today's lesson. So after we saw the video and had our group discussions, you should be able to understand now why trade agreements are important to organizations for countries. As well, you should have a basic understanding of what you can do in your organization to take advantage and leverage these agreements. And when you leave the class today, there's a post-it note on your desks. If you can make one point, and we're going to use as an exit ticket of what you're taking away from this lesson and that you can implement in your organization. Okay? Super, excellent. Any questions? Thank you, class. It was a great pleasure to present this material in front of you. Have a good rest of your day. Okay, so is that good, Richard?